Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 976 Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I put onto YouTube. On this particular battle, we're going to have a look at tactical ground movement, interception, battlefield awareness, and other aspects of attacking and defending in this game. Okay, this is fought on one of our favourite custom maps. And as we've looked at before, if you're team 2, this is a really good defensive position to fall on here. You can form up on here, and as you can see, if team 1 wants to attack, if they come from this flank, if they come around here, look, and attack up here, see how steep the attack approach would be if you wanted to attack from that side. Now if you look on the other side of this defensive position, you'll see the slope is a little bit more gentle there, so that's where we tend to attack from there, looking from this direction, from the left flank normally, because it is a little bit more of a gentle slope. But you'll see the map has got a lot of undulating ground in, which we've talked a lot about in the past, because a lot of our maps have got that type of ground. So tactical ground movement, very important. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Aurelius, who's got his faction of choice, Greek cities, and he's got 13 Spartans and 4 cavalry. Check the upgrades on his light cavalry there. You'll see he's got 8 upgrades, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So these are only light cavalry, but with those type of upgrades on, they can be very useful. They're fast moving, and you know, they can hit weakened enemy units, smash into the rear of enemy troops there. He's got his Spartans there to hold the battle line, and he's got those cavalry to move around the battlefield attacking enemy units. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Mantu. Now he's got the bog standard 31k Roman army of 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Okay, just to say, this is a no archer battle. Okay, so no archers, no slingers, no horse missile troops in this particular battle. That's why you'll see no one's got any archers, and you'll see that Mantu's cavalry's got 7 upgrades on, an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack, but as I say, no archers in this particular battle. Okay, now our next teammate is RTW player Punisher. You'll see H07 in front of his name. That is his medieval Total War 2 clan tags, but a lot of you will know Punisher, an RTW player. Now he's got 16 cavalry and 3 elephants. Okay, 16 cavalry and 3 elephants. Now just to say that Numidia and Spain are looked upon as the 2 weakest factions, 31k factions. So the only way that we can make Numidia kind of competitive on the 31k battlefield is change the rules a little bit for them. So the only rules for Numidia are 3 elephants max, okay, no archers and no artillery. Okay, that's the only rules for Numidia, just to try and make them a bit more competitive. So as I say, Punisher's got 16 cavalry and 3 elephant units. Okay, most of his cavalry are the light long shield cavalry, fast moving. They're around the battlefield, but of course they are only light cavalry. And I believe he's got, yeah, you can see the bulk of them there. And I believe he's got 3 of these general armoured bodyguard units there. There's his general there in that general armoured unit. If I remember correctly, I think they are fully upgraded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, fully upgraded. There's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack there for the armoured cavalry units there. And of course, then you've got the elephants there. Now remember, these guys, they've got archers on the back of the elephants there. They've got something like, I think, 13 hit points. They've got a massive attack specification, but also a massive fear factor, taking morale away from enemy troops, destabilizing them, making them more susceptible to routing. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses that Numidian army during the course of the battle. And our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's got his old Roman army of 15 infantry and 5 cavalry. Okay, 15 infantry and 5 cavalry for us. So I suppose not, you know, it's quite a reasonable, diverse team. I mean, we've got Greek cities with Aurelius, we've got Rome with Mantu, we've got Numidia with Punisher, and myself with Rome. Say it's got the potential to be a very informative battle. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Tabor. Now Tabor has got 20 spearmen. Okay, you can see he's got the Carthage faction, 20 spearmen. He's got a couple of pony infantry with just 3 upgrades on, which I'm guessing is gold defense in the forward part of his battle formation there, and 1 sacred band unit. Notice they've only got 3 upgrades on, so I'm just thinking gold defense. So they're going to make first contact with the enemy, take the pillars, and suffer a lot of casualties. That's why he's not spending a lot of money on them. And then you've got 1 line there of sacred band spearmen with 8 upgrades on. Another line there with just 6 upgrades on, gold shield, gold attack. And then the last 2 battle lines have got 8 upgrades on, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So he's certainly got mixed upgrades through his battle formation. Notice no cavalry. Okay, so he's actually got no cavalry there. Their next teammate is RTW player Barclayman. Now he's got 13 pikes, 3 Aurelian mercenaries, and 4 cavalry. Okay, so let's say Macedon is probably one of his favorite factions to play with there. Okay, and those of you that might not have seen the Aurelian mercenaries, there they are. They're missile troops, but they only throw, if you notice, light spears there, so they kind of don't do a lot of damage, but you know, they are missile troops, and as I say, very rare to see them on the 31k battlefield. You don't usually see those troops there. But as I say, this is a tried and tested Macedonian army of Barclayman. There you'll see his units have got 7 upgrades on, an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack there. So he's got good upgrades on his pikemen there. 7 upgrades. As I say, an experience stripe is very important because the morale is not very good of Macedon, so to give them a veteran stripe is a good idea. And yeah, he's got his 4 cavalry there, and if you notice there, he's got 7 upgrades and experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. Remember, very often these guys are called the winged horsemen because of the wings on their helmets. They've got a massive 9 charge bonus. Remember, the charge bonus is the impact and penetration that a unit can do, so they've got a 9 charge bonus. Praetorian cavalry, for instance, have only got a 6 charge bonus, so that just goes to show the difference there. Our next teammate is a Brotherhood member, JGP. Now he's got the bog standard old school 31k Roman army of 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. And the reason that's been the bog standard 31k Roman army for so long is because it's so effective and so efficient. And our last teammate is someone called Noctic Spectre. Now, as far as I know, I've never been in a battle with him before. Now he's got 10 infantry, 4 velots, and 6 cavalry. As I say, as far as I know, I've never been in a battle with him before, so I'm not sure what standard of player he is there. And there's his velots. They throw spears. They're like kind of skirmish troops there. And they're, you know, they throw the spear. They don't do a lot of damage there, but they are skirmish troops. If I remember correctly, I think he's got really mega cavalry here. If I remember, count the upgrades here. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fully upgraded Praetorian cavalry. 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Now that takes them out of the elite bracket into the super cavalry bracket. Okay, so if he uses that cavalry wisely, you could see them cause a lot of damage to our troops. So there's the enemy team. It should be a cracker for you to watch. Okay, so like on a lot of other maps here, I'm on the left flank and the team has decided that we're going to fight over on the right flank. So once again, I've got to run all the way over from the left flank to the right flank, hopefully without being intercepted by enemy troops. Okay, so as I say, the moment we press start, you'll see my troops straight away are running straight over. And if you notice, I've set a long way back in my setup area as well. In the hope that I'm far enough away that I don't get intercepted by enemy troops. If you notice here, you'll see that Punisher has put his cavalry between my army and the enemy army there, just to make sure there's going to be no lightning attacks on my moving infantry there. So nice bit of support there by Punisher, but looking at the enemy team, I don't think they're interested in intercepting my moving army. Okay, so moving over onto the right flank here, okay, you'll see that we've got Aurelius's fast moving cavalry there, and you can see all of our troops moving over to this right flank. Okay, Now what we find on this particular map is, like we saw earlier, there's more of a gentle slope up to the defensive position that the enemy team can take up here. So that's why we come over to this flank. Okay, but if you notice here, you'll see that the enemy team here are kind of not setting up on that the higher part of the ground there. They tend to be moving down. As I say, this is a more gentle slope in comparison to the slope on the other side there, so that's why we're all moving over there. But as I say, if you notice, the enemy team there are kind of not setting up on the higher part of the map, and they're tending to come down to this particular part of the map there. Okay, you can see the enemy Julii cavalry coming over to that side. They're fully upgraded super cavalry there of Noctis, Spectre. You can see his infantry there as well, moving over from the other flank there to move over to the left flank, if you like, of the enemy troops there, where most of his team has formed up. Okay, so as I say, this battle is about tactical ground movement, battlefield awareness, possible interception, and possible blocking. You'll see what I mean as the battle unfolds, and I really would like your comments on this battle, because I think there's lots to look at and hopefully a lot of interest. Okay, at this stage of the battle, you'll see here that Aurelius has split his Spartan army into two mini armies there, so it'll be interesting to see how he uses them during the course of the battle. You'll see both Punisher and Aurelius here have moved their light cavalry round the flank here. Okay, if you notice that, you know, and that could give the enemy a warning of where we're looking to move here. Okay, now the enemy may well expect us to be attacking them from the position that they're in, but we're not actually going to look to do that. You'll see what I mean as the battle unfolds. Here you'll see Mantu taking his cavalry over to the left flank of the enemy team, where Punisher has already got some of his light cavalry there as well. Okay, so you can see that the enemy have abandoned this part of their flank to move over to the other flank there. So imagine if Mantu could get his cavalry and Punisher there onto that highest part of the ground, with that massive downhill charge bonus that they would have, because the enemy have kind of abandoned and given up this particular part of the battlefield there. So really we should try and take advantage of that, I think. As I say, this is a battle of tactical ground movement, and I'd like your comments on this battle afterwards, because there's you know, possible interception and blocking that should happen here. But just watch the battle and see what you think. As I say, here you can see both Aurelius and Punisher taking their cavalry round the right flank here, and you can see that the enemy are kind of forming up there, but on the that's a gentle slope there. And if the enemy cavalry attack this light cavalry, of course the light cavalry can just run away. So if the Julii general was thinking about attacking Aurelius or Punisher's cavalry there, because they're light cavalry, of course they could outrun the heavy cavalry of Julii. Okay, so here you can see that I finally got over to the right flank from the left flank there, and now if you notice, I'm walking my troops because I think they were winded, and I'm just trying to rest them at the moment. Okay, at this stage of the battle, you'll see that the enemy have formed up on this side of the slope there, if you like. And as I say, here you can see that it is a more gentle slope for us to attack. And I think they think that we are going to attack up the slope there. But just to give you a heads up on this is not our intention. Okay, can you see both Mantu and myself moving towards possibly that position there where they think we're going to attack? But just to give you a heads up on this, what we're looking to do here is to move our armies, all of our armies here, around a wide point here. So we're moving up here, okay, and we're looking to move round here. Okay, as I say, just to give you a heads up on this, so you can see we're moving here all the way around here and going to try and get up onto the higher ground that the enemy team have abandoned. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do now. During the course of this movement, the enemy team may well see what we're doing and decide to block or intercept us. Okay, because obviously that would be a big advantage for us to get all the way around there and get up onto the higher ground. Now you can see that Mantu's cavalry, okay, and you've got Punisher's cavalry there as well, have already kind of taken a little bit of the higher ground there. Okay, the enemy could push them off the high ground there if they wanted to move back up onto the higher ground, but they're not doing that. What they've done is they've put a Macedonian pike line there to try and neutralize any cavalry attack from that direction. Okay, so as I say here, we're moving up here. Now that cavalry of Noctic there could well look to hit Mantu's infantry. That's why I've positioned my cavalry there, because if you notice, Mantu's cavalry is on the other side of the hill there. Okay, so he's got no cavalry cover for his infantry at the moment, and that's why I positioned my Scipii cavalry there to cover it. Right, there you are. There goes Noctic, is fully upgraded Praetorian cavalry, going to smash into that one unit of Mantu's, and bang! As he smashes in there, you'll see I'm counter-attacking with my cavalry there, and you'll notice that Noctic now pulls his cavalry back. Okay, but that was quite an aggressive move there by the Julii general. Okay, so now here I thought the enemy team would be looking to intercept or block us from, you know, from where we're going here. Okay, they may well think that we're going to attack them from this side, but as you see our troops move, you see what you think here. Okay, as I say, this is what I want to show this battle was about battlefield awareness, possible interception and blocking of when you can see where enemy troops are moving to, and if they're moving to an advantage position over you, then you try and block them, don't you? Okay, so as I say, you can see all the enemy troops there. Okay, now should they attack us now? Could they attack a Mantu there? All those enemy troops, if they just came down from that slope and all did a massive attack on Mantu's infantry there. Could that be something that they might think about? Now you've got Aurelius, you've got some spearmen of Aurelius there, and you've got my Scipii troops there as well. But would that, you know, you can see there is still a slight downhill advantage for the enemy team if they did that. Okay, you'll see here that Punisher's getting more cavalry in behind the enemy team, and you can see there, as I say, the enemy team are formed. They've got a pike and spear anti-cavalry battle line there, look, to counter Mantu's, Aurelius, and Punisher's cavalry there. Okay, so they've set up, as I say, an anti-cavalry spear and pike wall there. And as I say, here you can see my Scipii troops slowly moving around. As I say, walk in there to keep them, they're just warmed up at the moment. I don't want to tire them or get them winded at all. But I was just thinking, do you think the enemy troops could intercept us now as we're moving round their flank? Do you see what I mean? And the enemy troop, and this is what the whole team was saying, they were expected to be intercepted here. Okay, but instead of that, you can see the enemy team seems to have set up in a very defensive mindset. You see what I mean there? They're setting up very, very defensive there on that side of the slope. And it looks like attacking is not what they're thinking about here. They're just thinking about kind of consolidating a defensive position. And this is the reason I wanted to show this battle, because, you know, like when you see enemy troops that could be looking to get an advantage on you by taking a ground advantage, you kind of block them or intercept them. And this is what all our team was saying. We can't believe here that we've moved this far around and not been intercepted or blocked by enemy troops. Okay, now if you notice, we're still moving around, look, and obviously I'd have thought now the enemy team could see that we're heading for the higher ground above them that they abandoned when they moved off that ground there. Okay, so there you are. You can see both Mantu and my troops there. And as I say, you can see all the cavalry we've got lined up round the back there. Okay, so all our team was just saying to each other here in team chat, we were just saying, why haven't they blocked us or intercepted us as we're moving round? Okay, now what I was thinking here, this SBQ or army could move up onto that higher ground there, or the Macedonians could move up onto the higher ground, say up, up here on this ground here. They could just move up here and hold the higher ground, because obviously that where we're moving here, there's a good chance that we're going to move up onto that higher ground, and that's exactly where we're aiming for. Okay, so if the enemy team move that SBQ or army up onto the higher ground, that would block and stop us straight away. You see what I mean? And here you've got those velettes there throwing those light spears into our troops. I can see them coming in there. They don't do a lot of damage, but as our troops are moving, we will suffer more casualties there. Right, so here you can see, right, that we've got Aurelius, Mantu and myself all heading up for the higher ground, which will give us a big advantage over the enemy troops. Okay, so the big question that we were all asking ourselves in the team here, right, is why hasn't the enemy A, intercepted us, B, blocked us, or C, moved one of their armies up onto the higher ground? Do you see what I mean? Here, this is where we were wanting to get, and the enemy team are making no kind of effort to block us, intercept us, or move up onto the higher part of the map. And as I say, the whole team was talking about this. We can't believe that we've got actually this far without being intercepted or blocked. Okay, all they've got to do is move troops up onto this higher part of the ground, and that's our tactical attack. Stop dead. Do you see what I mean? Because we're not going to attack. We don't want to attack uphill. Now you can see the Carthaginian general move in there, but you can see we're starting to move quite fast up here because we're just trying to get up onto the higher ground above the enemy troops. And there you can see us starting to run now. If you notice, we'd walked most of the way, and now we're running up clearly. Can you see clearly now? We're heading for the higher ground. So if they didn't think we were going to go for the higher ground earlier, they can see now that that is our destination. So what we thought was, why aren't they moving large amounts of troops up onto that higher ground to intercept and block us from getting up there? But instead of that, they're not. They're kind of like moving away from us a little bit there, if you notice. And it looks to me like our team are going to get up onto that higher ground exactly where we want to go. You can see the Carthaginians and some of the Julii troops are moving towards us there. But it's obvious now, I think, to everybody that we're heading for the higher ground. So I know all our team were just saying, why haven't they put troops up there or intercepted us or blocked us from getting up there? Because now we're going to have a massive ground advantage. Look how high that point is there when we get up onto that higher point there. You can see Mantu's cavalry are already there. You can see Mantu's infantry are heading there, and you can see Aurelius, his Spartans are heading there, and there you are. We've come all the way round, as you've seen in this battle, and haven't been intercepted, blocked, or kind of attacked heavily at all. And there you are. We're up onto the high point now. Let's see, Mantu's infantry's up there, and you can see the the Julii general with his maximum upgraded cavalry is charging those cavalry in, trying to get above our troops there. You can see that, and there's a couple of Carthage units there, but it's just not strong enough to stop us from getting up there, I don't think. And that fully upgraded cavalry could almost be wasted there if he doesn't pull them back, because Mantu's infantry, you've got Spartans there as well as Mantu's cavalry there will, I would think, take a lot of those cavalry out. Okay, so over here you'll see the elephants of Pontus. You can see they're a long way. Sorry, not of Pontus, of Numidia. You can see the elephants of Numidia there are a long way away from the actual fighting there. Okay, so they're not even involved at the moment. at attacking, but they are, I suppose, in a threatening position that the enemy troops have got to keep an eye on. And you've got the light cavalry there, and as I say, the elephants there as well, looking to attack. I've got my cavalry there, and you've got Aurelius's cavalry there as well. But you can see that the majority of our troops now are up on the higher ground. Okay, so there you are, you can see that. And that Julii cavalry, that fully upgraded Julii cavalry there, look, as I say, he's going to waste that cavalry if he's not careful, because he's fighting both cavalry and infantry there. And watch out for that cavalry starting to rout, because it would surprise me if that fully upgraded Julii cavalry are going to suffer so many casualties that they're just going to start routing. And you'll see that, and then just there you go, you can see that fully upgraded Julii cavalry has now been routed. Look there, and we are now masters of the high ground, as you can see. Yeah, there's a Carthage unit there, but you can see that we've got the big advantage there with numbers. You can see Aurelius now is starting to attack with his Spartans straight into the enemy troops, very aggressive there from the higher ground advantage. There, you can see that, and his secondary army attacking there as well. And what I'm going to do here with my Scipii army, I'm going to try and get a little bit closer to my allies there, because I think that me being on the slightly lower part of the ground there, I could well be a target to be attacked. So if I can move up closer to my allies there, especially to that secondary Spartan army that's attacking there, you can see I'm moving up slightly there, a little bit higher, as I move up towards my allies there. But as I say, you saw that. This is why I wanted to show you this battle here, how we moved all the way round, obviously moving up to the higher ground there, and we weren't blocked or intercepted. And that's what the team was talking about in team chat there. We were really surprised that we weren't blocked. But anyway, we've got to the position we wanted to, and you can see, as I say, Aurelius being very, very aggressive with his Spartans, backed up by Mantu's infantry that, make no mistake, will be throwing pilers into the enemy troops from the higher ground. And as I say, you can see the Spartans attacking downhill now onto the enemy troops. Okay, but as I say, my position there possibly could be attacked there by enemy troops. We just have to wait and see if that's what they're going to do. But we've got a lot of cavalry here. You've got Mantu's cavalry, my cavalry. We've got the light cavalry of Aurelius and Punisher as well. And as I say, a bit of a pilot exchanging going on there. As I say, the Julii general seems to be quite aggressive to me there with his cavalry when he attacked up on the higher ground there. So it'd be interesting to see if he attacks my infantry. But as I say here, Aurelius making good inroads into the enemy troops. You can see that I've moved my Scipii infantry over towards that secondary army of Aurelius there. And make no mistake, I'll be throwing a lot of pilers into the enemy troops as well. Okay, but as I say, you can see Mantu and myself stood back just throwing pilers into the enemy troops. And you can see that Aurelius is attacking with his Spartans there. There you can see a bit of pilot exchange going on there between the enemy Roman troops and my infantry there. And now you can see the enemy Julii infantry attacking the forward units of my battle formation, and you can see that JGP's SBQR infantry is just behind the Julii infantry there. It wouldn't surprise me if they attacked as well. But as I say, over here, Aurelius doing very well, being very aggressive with his Spartan units there. Notice how he keeps his general back out of the fray at the moment there. So it's still giving general morale bonus to his troops there, but not actually engaging. So that's a nice move there. You'll see Mantu moving his Brutii troops even further up onto the higher ground there, where I'm thinking he's going to throw pilers down. Remember, you start throwing pilers from higher ground, your pilers travel further and do more damage as well. Right, as I say, you can see the Julii infantry there of that Spectre guy really attacking my forward units there. And there's a lot of enemy cavalry there as well, which may well target my infantry. We just have to wait and see. If you notice here, can you see that I've taken my cavalry from a lower point down there and moved them up to the higher ground here so that I will have a downhill charge bonus, okay, into the enemy troops. Okay, so watch this very carefully. You know, we talk about battlefield awareness. So there you are, I've moved my guys up onto the higher part of the ground to get the downhill charge bonus. Okay, and here comes my cavalry, going to smash into that Julii cavalry. Watch my infantry surge attack as well. See that cavalry go in there and bang, as it smashes in there. But as I say, you notice I surged attack. I got the downhill charge bonus to my cavalry, but I surged the old school, old-fashioned surge attack with my infantry as well to smash through that enemy Julii infantry. And make no mistake, I'm going to go for JGP's SPQR infantry if I can rout all this Julii infantry there. Okay, you can see a lot of the enemy Julii infantry starting to rout there. I need to pull my cavalry back, I would suggest now. You can see Punisher's cavalry charging in there as well. Bang, bang, and the third unit going in there as well, and bang, as he smashes in there. Okay, so we managed to rout the Julii infantry that was attacking my troops. Meanwhile, up here on the higher ground, you can see there that Aurelius has got one unit left of one of his mini armies. Very battle damage there. The Carthaginians and Macedonians have killed a lot of it. See the dead red cloaked Spartans there. A lot of his troops been killed by the Macedonian Carthage troops. So it'll be interesting to see if Mantu's going to charge in there with his troops there. But you can see Aurelius lost a lot of troops there, and his secondary army here, of his mini armies, is also being very aggressive there. So it'll be interesting to see how well they're doing. You can see them pushing into the enemy troops. Okay, but as I say here, the combined surge attack there have taken out the Julii infantry. You've got Mantu's cavalry and Aurelius's cavalry and Punisher's cavalry there ready to charge into the enemy troops. There, more of Punisher's cavalry there, and an elephant unit as well, ready to charge in to the enemy troops there. Okay, so here, as I say, you can see my Scipii infantry there. My cavalry I've pulled back to lock and load. Right, see my infantry charging forward again there to engage the forward units of JGP's SPQR infantry. Now, there's a lot of enemy troops there, but I pulled my cavalry back to lock and load them. You've got Mantu's cavalry in wedge formation there, ready to charge in. And as I say, you've got Punisher's cavalry there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. You can see our cavalry are all locked and loaded there. Now you'll see JGP attacking my forward units with his infantry. And if you notice, he's slowly moving his cavalry over to a more advantageous position on higher ground. Okay, so over here, you've got one elephant unit there. And you can see that they've got archers on the back of the elephants. So they're shooting into the enemy troops. But over here you'll see the other two elephant units have been routed and they have run amok. So what we want to do is make sure we keep those amok elephants away from our troops, because the devastation that amok elephants can do is very considerable. So we want to make sure that we keep the those amok elephants away from our troops. If they want to run amok into the enemy troops, that's fine, but not into ours. Let's say it's a Macedon battle line there of pikes. But over here on the higher ground, you'll see Mantu's holding the ground well there. And as I say, Aurelius has done a lot of damage to the enemy troops. But here you'll see, as I said, you can see JGP has moved his SPQR cavalry into more advantageous position there, along with the Macedonian cavalry. If they charge into my infantry, look, they've got the downhill charge bonus. Can you see that? So that could be pretty bad news for me, because I'm being heavily attacked at the front of my battle formation. I've moved my cavalry down here to try and counter any cavalry that goes into the flank of my fighting infantry there. Okay, so that's why I positioned my cavalry there. But you can see I've turned a couple of units of my infantry battle formation there to face the threat of that cavalry coming in on me. So those two end units I've turned to face the threat of all that cavalry there. But you've got all of JGP's SPQR cavalry and the Macedonian cavalry there locked and loaded. I've got Mantu's cavalry over here, which I'm thinking he's thinking of charging into the flank of the SBQR infantry. Okay, so it'd be interesting what's going on here. You can see that Punisher has already charged a couple of his cavalry units in as well. Okay, but all this cavalry, all this enemy cavalry here with the downhill charge bonus could really cause me a lot of problems there. So that's why I've got my cavalry ready to intercept them when they decide to charge downhill into my infantry. Okay, so there you go. You can see their cavalry locked and loaded, ready to charge in. And you can see there that, as I say, JGP being very, very aggressive with his infantry. Look how his infantry are making inroads into my battle formation there. Now watch out for Mantu's cavalry. I reckon he's going to attack at any time there. And then the enemy cavalry may well smash into my engaged infantry. Okay, right, here comes Mantu's cavalry. Here comes Mantu's cavalry, and bang! As he smashes in to JGP's infantry. Right, here comes JGP's cavalry, and bang! As he smashes into my infantry. Right, you can see I'm counter-attacking with my cavalry. I'm going to smash into JGP's, but you can see the Macedonian cavalry coming down as well. There goes my cavalry in there, like a bang! And there goes the Macedonian cavalry, and bang! As they smash straight into the flank of my infantry there. Oh my gosh, and yet my infantry's still holding. Don't forget, I've got morale boosting Eagle units in my infantry there, and boosting the morale of my infantry, because there was a good chance if they were just gold shield, gold attack, they may well have mass routed there. So they were, and there you can see my infantry is now surging forward, old school, old-fashioned surge attack now with my infantry, and Mantu's cavalry and my cavalry and Punisher's cavalry all in there attacking JGP's SBQR infantry there. You can see some Macedonian and Carthage pike and spear units moving in there to kind of shore up the battle line there. But you can see we routed most of JGP's infantry. Right, now on the higher ground here, you're going to see, I think Mantu has now decided to attack. See, his troops now are going to really push into the Macedonians and Carthage troops here that I think are tired. They may well be tired there, and his troops will be fresh. And I think he's going to push them in there. Watch this for an attack. There you are, look at that. Very, very aggressive attack there with his infantry straight into the Macedonian and Carthaginian spears and pikes there as he pushes in. Okay, but meanwhile here you can see that Macedonian pikemen have moved forward. We've got Carthaginian troops in there as well. You can see I'm charging my cavalry unit forward there. I'm going for the SBQR General. Make no mistake about that. Pause the game for a second there. I spotted the SBQR General. It looks a little bit exposed. So I've got some battle damage cavalry left that I've charged in there to try and take out the SBQR General, take away the general morale bonus by doing that. You can see my cavalry really attacking. Oh, that's good news. Looks like we've taken out the SBQR General. So taking away the morale boosting unit there. So that's good news for us. You can see Mantu moving his cavalry around the battlefield very tactically, smashing into enemy troops. And Mantu's infantry is really penetrating here from the higher ground into the enemy troops. There you'll see that Aurelius has got his well upgraded light cavalry in behind the enemy there, and also Punisher's cavalry are in behind the enemy as well. So you can see there, and what's surprising to me is this elephant unit hasn't been even put into the battle yet. You can see that they're shooting arrows into the enemy team there, but it hasn't even attacked yet. But as I say there, you can see my Scipio army has been greatly reduced after that massive hit by SBQR and Macedonian cavalry there, but still holding there against the Carthaginians and Macedonians there. And what I'm thinking here is if Mantu can win up here, there's only a couple of enemy units left, 2 Macedonian units left, and he just killed the general. So that's good news for us. And then if Mantu now is, say, he's on the high ground now, if he charges downhill into the enemy troops, he's going to get the downhill charge bonus as well. So, as I say, well done to Mantu capturing that higher part of the ground there. And as I say, I'm just going to keep my infantry there just to hold against the Carthaginians there and any Macedonians troops that are charging in there. You can see both Punisher's cavalry and Aurelius's cavalry are running rampant, if you like, on that hill, hitting tired and battle damaged units. Oh, here comes the elephant. Here comes the elephant there. Like, bang! As it smashes in there. Oh my gosh. I hope it doesn't run amok. If it runs amok, it could start killing our troops as well. There you are, the elephant unit has run amok there. And you can see I'm charging my infantry in as well here to try and help our Numidian ally. And actually, I think all the elephants were killed there. I think all the elephants were killed, but you can see I'm charging my Scipii infantry in to try and help our Numidian ally there, fighting Carthage, and there's an SPQR infantry unit in there as well. So there's Punisher's cavalry unit there going in there, bang, smashes into the rear of that Carthage unit there. There's the Numidian general unit there. I think, if I remember correctly, the Numidian general does survive the battle, so he'll be given general morale bonus, obviously, to our troops there. But as I say here, my blue Scipii troops there fighting the Carthaginians, Macedonians, and SPQR troops there. The Mantu's cavalry unit charging there, bang, as he smashes in there. Oh my gosh. You see those 3 or 4 Carthage units still holding there, and Macedonian as well. Or you can see Mantu's infantry now charging downhill there. You've got Punisher's cavalry smashing into the back of those enemy units there, and it looks like we've managed to go on to win the battle there. So well done to everybody in the game. But if you notice here, you'll see I think Aurelius has got 1 Spartan unit left, if I'm not mistaken, with 7 men in it. That's the only Spartan unit he's got. He's got a couple of cavalry units left. I think he's got 2 or 3 very battle damaged cavalry units left, but he's only got 1 Spartan unit left. So that just goes to show how tough this battle was. Out of his entire army, just 1 Spartan unit left there. And over here you'll see, if we look there's a Numidian general. As I say, I thought the general survived, so that was good that Punisher kept his general alive there to give that general morale bonus there. He hasn't got many troops left, I don't think. Just a few battle damaged cavalry units left there. That's all he's got. But Punisher was very, very aggressive with his Numidian army, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got some good kills with his Numidians there. So over here you can see where the elephants were, and over here, as I say, we moved, didn't we? We started off down here, okay, and then this is the main reason I wanted to show you the battle, and we moved all the way around here without being intercepted or blocked. Okay, we then moved all the way around here. Okay, I'd have thought, you know, everybody could see that we're going for the higher ground that the enemy had vacated. Okay, and we weren't blocked or intercepted at all, and we got all the way up there. I know, Mantu, all of us in our team, we were just amazed that we weren't blocked or intercepted as we were going for the higher ground. I just wonder what all of you thought about that there. And up here you can see where that Julii fully upgraded cavalry were charged into Mantu's infantry and cavalry, and that's where he lost most of his Julii cavalry there. And as I say, there's a lot of dead red cloaked Spartans there. You can see where Aurelius is being very, very aggressive, attacking the enemy troops there on from the higher ground. There are lots of dead there. You can see in the longer grass there. But once again, the red cloaked Spartans really stick out in there. And that's one thing I noticed. You notice there's a massive group of dead Spartans there. Can you see that? Massive group there. I don't know whether they were hit by cavalry or that was just casualties against pike and spear units there, but that's a big chunk of Spartans dead there. And over here in the longer grass, you can see all the dead there. I mean, look at that, 4 dead. Just goes to show how intense the fighting was. I think that's where my infantry was hit there in that particular area. But you can see there a massive amount of dead. I think there's just a couple of enemy units left now. Just for us to finish off there, and you can see Mantu coming downhill onto those units there. I think there might be one Macedonian unit left. If I remember, I think Aurelius attacks this Macedonian pike unit with light cavalry. Yeah, there they go. And look how many casualties he suffers there. It just goes to show, doesn't it, the cavalry bonus of pike and spear units you've got there. He gets smashed in the rear by Punisher's cavalry there. Takes that last unit out, and I think that was the last unit. But just look at the dead there on this hill map. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. I thought everybody played well. You can see it was an average victory there. Highest kills in the game goes to Brotherhood member Mantu, 1,969, not far off the magic 2,000 kill mark there. So well done to Mantu, did very well. Well done to Tabor, did well with his Carthage army, got over 1,000 kills, so well done to him. Well done to Barclayman, great kills there with Macedon, which basically is his faction of choice now, I would say. Well done to JGP, just got over 1,000 kills there. Noctic Spectre will be a bit disappointed, he got less than 1,000 kills, but he was quite aggressive, so really well played, guys. My kills, yeah, quite pleased with those kills there, that's not too bad. And unusual to have around 400 men left at the end of the battle there. So, yeah, quite pleased with those kills. Well done to Punisher with Numidia. Look at the kills that he got there. And he's got the smallest army out of everybody on the battlefield there. If you look at everybody's army, he's got the smallest army. And look at the kills that he got. But what's that, 4th highest kill, something like that? Well done to him. Let's say well done to Mantu, highest kills in the game. And well done to Aurelius, very, very aggressive with his Spartans there. So well done to him. Great kills there. So really well played, guys. A faction advantage. Who do you think there? We had Rome, Numidia, Rome and Greek cities. Yeah, not too bad. They had Carthage, Macedon, Rome and Rome. So pretty even there. So well done to both teams. Just to say, I wanted to show this battle because I want to show you, you know, how ground movement is very, very important. You know, you've got a target that you're going to move your troops to, and if the enemy team don't intercept you or block you and you get there, I mean, that's, as you saw in this battle there. I know all our team was saying, why weren't we blocked or intercepted when we were obviously going for the higher ground there? Okay, Spartan Commander saying bye for now, and see you soon.